All right, we can go ahead and get started. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm Kelsey O'Rourke. I'm the Assistant Director of Employer Relations in Career Services, and we're excited to talk to you about Career Fair today. Just a reminder to mute yourself if you're just coming in. We will take questions by chat. So if you would, keep yourself on mute until the end, and then we can open it up for questions at that time as well. But anytime questions come up, go ahead and pop them in the chat. So just some reminders about Zoom guidelines before we get going. You must be logged in with your authenticated account to earn credit. Make sure that your microphone is muted until the end, and then we can invite questions there. Make sure you're individually logged in. So if there's a group of you around a computer, unfortunately, that does not count. And we do ask that you remain engaged with your camera on for the session. My co-host Lisa Witt and I will be monitoring chat as well as the ACEs, so feel free to put any questions there throughout. To give you a sense of where we're headed today, we're going to spend some time within Handshake demoing, updating your profile, how to find virtual fairs in the system. Then we'll go through some tech tips and resources and following up after the fair. So I'm going to go ahead and switch my screen. So when you log into Handshake, hopefully this is a view that you're familiar with. This is your homepage when you log in. Where we're going to start today is actually the profile. So even though we're talking about Career Fair, there are some areas of Handshake that you're going to want to double check and update before you even start looking at the fair. So in the top right corner of your Handshake account, you'll see your initials. When you click that, it's going to open up a menu. And we'll start with your profile. The reason that we're starting with the profile is that employers can screen students for one-on-one sessions based on different fields in the profile. So your graduation date, your school year, your major, your GPA, and your work authorization status are all criteria that employers could filter on for one-on-one sessions. So if your answers to those fields don't match up with what they're looking for, you may not see open one-on-one sessions. So that's why we're double checking these fields before we even get into the career fair. From your profile, there are certain fields that you can edit. So if you look at this education section, when you hover over that, there's a pencil icon, which gives you editing access for a couple different fields. The grayed out locked fields are fields where that Career Services pulls information from the university system. So those you cannot edit. The ones you can are your college, if for some reason that does not line up with your major and that's incorrect. What we really want to focus on though is your graduation date. So a lot of times when we pull that information in from the system, it's incorrect. So you do want to make sure to double check your graduation date or your expected graduation date, whatever you're planning on. The start date doesn't matter as much, but definitely take a look at the end date, make sure that's lining up with your plan. A note about GPA. So even though you can hide your GPA from employers, this is hiding your GPA on your profile, the system can still screen based on your GPA for those one-on-one sessions. So just by hiding it, it unfortunately doesn't help with the one-on-one session. So you'll still have to qualify for whatever GPA setting they set. Once that section is all set, you can go back up to your initials and we'll take a look at a couple more fields. So from there, we'll go to settings and privacy. And this is where you can edit your school year. So again, if your school year doesn't match up with your graduation date, if it's for some reason wrong in the system, that's something that you can edit. If you keep scrolling down, you'll come to those work authorization questions. So this is asking if you're legally authorized to work in the US, will you now or in the future require sponsorship? So you can choose to answer those questions, or you can select the prefer not to answer these questions. That's totally up to you. As far as the career fair and those one-on-one sessions, by saying prefer not to answer, it does not negatively impact your ability to schedule those one-on-one sessions. So it is your choice. If you don't answer those questions, you're likely going to be prompted to answer them for specific job postings, but you wouldn't be prompted again for the career fair. This same area is where you can take a look at your privacy settings. So in order to participate in the career fair, the virtual career fair, and in order to sign up for sessions with employers, you'll have to set your privacy setting to community. So this allows your profile to be visible to employers. So this is another reason why we're starting with the profile. You want to make sure that that's updated so that whatever employers are looking at is the most recent content. I'm going to leave mine as private just so that I can show you how the system prompts you later on to change that setting when you're signing up for sessions. But if you wanted to edit that, it's under settings and privacy. This is also the area if you did want to review your notification preferences. Let's say you're getting lots of emails from Handshake and you don't want to get those emails. This is where you can change that. The most relevant to the career fair is the last one within the career fair section. So this is where an employer is adding their schedule. So if you didn't see available sessions for an employer of interest, you could select this notification option to get an email when that comes up. Looks like I have a raised hand. Catherine, did you have a question? Okay. So from the profile, another element of your profile is your resume. So you go back up to your initials and to documents. This is where you're uploading a resume. In order for employers to be able to see that resume, it has to be marked visible, and you can only mark one document visible at a time. The reason that we're recommending that you have a visible resume for employers is for the virtual fair. So they can see in advance, they'll be able to see your resume from their schedule page. So if they want to do any preparation before they're meeting with you, they want to take a look at your experience, having your resume is going to help facilitate that. It means that you'll have a more meaningful conversation if they've been able to look at your background. So we do recommend updating your resume if you haven't already, and then adding that to your Handshake profile. You can double check visibility by going back to your profile. So right now my profile itself is hidden, which is fine because I haven't filled out these fields, but you'll all want to do that before the fair. And then you'll be able to see documents and see what is visible to employers from your profile. There is an option to view your profile as an employer. So once you make that public, if you want to check what the employers are seeing from your profile, it's going to be in the same area, and you'll be able to do that. All right, so moving into some resources. So preparation resources for the fairs. If you select Career Center up at the top, there are a couple areas here that we want to point out. So one is appointments. So if you have career-related questions, you want to schedule an appointment with an advisor, this is the easiest way to do that. You can schedule it based on your schedule and the availability of our career advisors right through the system. Resources are another area that you may want to take a look at before the fair. So let's say you have questions about your resume. You can search by keyword within the resource library and take a look at different articles that our staff has curated that may be helpful. Drop-in hours with career peer mentors are another great way to get resume feedback, and those are every day through Zoom from 12:15 to 3. Another resource that we recommend taking a look at before the fair is this virtual career fairs and interviews article. So not only does this article have a lot of tips and recommendations for helping you prepare, but it also links to additional career events. So we are not the only university that hosts a career fair. There are many other opportunities to engage with employers through virtual events. And we track those through our website. So this is one place where you could find those. Another way to find events with employers is going up to this events tab at the top. Here you can search by company name. For example, if you're looking to connect with PwC, you can see what options they have. You know, the Peace Corps has several options. They're all hosting virtual events, and the Peace Corps is participating in the fair. You can also search by keyword. So if you're looking for other career fairs, for example, some employers host their own fairs. You can take a look at what else is in the system here. A note about career fair structures outside of Handshake. So there's a whole variety of different types of virtual fair platforms. Some of them are completely text-based chat, where you would be chatting back and forth, similar to GChat format with a recruiter, potentially multiple conversations at once. It could be that employers have a virtual booth and you drop in for a quick conversation. With Handshake, it is very scheduled and structured, but each platform is going to be a little bit different. So if you're attending any other virtual career fairs, we do recommend doing a little bit of research on the platform ahead of time, just so that you know what you're getting into and can be prepared.
Oh.
Before we get into virtual fairs and Handshake, I'm going to take a break for questions. Lisa, has anything come up?
Nothing yet.
Okay. So from this events page, you'll be able to find the career fairs that UD is hosting and that UD has been invited to. So for example, we're hosting 3 career fairs next week. Those are all active in the system. In addition, we've been invited to the Southwest Ohio, Northern Kentucky Education Career Fair. So this is one that we are helping to host, but it is not hosted through the University of Dayton. We've just been invited to participate. So for these career fairs, we do recommend that you're taking a look at each day next week. So I know it's very tempting to go based on your major and just select the day that you think is going to best align with your major. However, these employers are recruiting for majors across academic areas all 3 days. So it's very likely that there's an employer seeking your major every day, Monday through Wednesday next week. So we do encourage you to take a look at each day, filter the employer list based on your major, the industry that you're seeking. There are a variety of fields there, but definitely recommend taking a look.
Okay, cool.
Chronological resume would be the best with following candidates.
Once you click into the event, I'm gonna unregister so I can show you. So once you click into the event, in order to see the available sessions, you will have to register. You can see the attending organizations before you do that, but our recommendation is just to register for the event and then you get full access to all of the details. Once you register, you're going to get a couple different tabs here. So the career fair details is where we started. So that has the list of employers. There is a tab for your schedule. So nothing is here yet because we haven't signed up for anything, but we'll populate that shortly. Available sessions is the third tab. So this is where you can see one-on-one and group sessions based on the employer. This list is displayed according to the information that you've put into Handshake into your interest. So it's not alphabetical order, it's the order that Handshake thinks is going to be most interesting to you based on the information that they have. You can also utilize these filters, which can be really helpful if you have a specific search. So let's say you're looking for internships. You can take a look at those organizations offering internships. The information from these filters is based on what the employer put in their registration form. Now, sometimes that doesn't match what they're actually looking for. So sometimes it's one person that registers for the event and it's somebody else that attends the event. So just be prepared that there could be a mismatch between what the registration information says in Handshake and what information you're hearing in a conversation. Most of the time, they're pretty accurate, but there are definitely instances where there's some miscommunication on their end. At this point, the employer lists are fairly set. However, we do anticipate a couple more registrations coming through through the end of this week. So definitely check back each day to see if new organizations have been added. So let's go ahead and schedule a session. I'm going to do this in our test fair so that we're not messing with real employer sessions, and you all have access to this test fair until 8 o'clock tonight. So you can log into Handshake and practice scheduling sessions as well. So I'm registered for this fair already, so I can see the available sessions. And at this point, we have 2 employers in this test fair. So if I want to schedule a one-on-one, this is the pop-up that's going to happen urging you to change your privacy setting if you didn't already do that. So if you did forget to change that under settings and privacy, not a big deal. The system's going to prompt you to do that before you can sign up for any sessions. So I'm going to update to community so I can sign up for these sessions. And it looks like there's one coming up at 4:30. That works with my schedule. So I'm going to go ahead and select that and confirm. It's going to be the same process for group sessions. So you'd select on the group session. It will give you some of that registration information and you can confirm. So your commitment for these career fairs is as small or large as you make it. So you are in control of your schedule for these virtual fairs, which is very different than the in-person fairs that we hold in the Recplex. So when you're coming to the Recplex in person, you're often having to wait in long lines to meet with employers. You're having to commit to an unknown amount of time. However, with these virtual fairs, you're in control of your schedule. So you can schedule those 10-minute one-on-one sessions in between your classes. You could schedule just a couple sessions each day if that's what works for your schedule, but you're in control of what that commitment looks like. The one-on-one sessions are 10 minutes in length. So you do want to think building in breaks as needed, because you don't want to attend a session late. So if one of your sessions runs over and then you end up late to the next session, you'll still be able to get in, but it's not the ideal first impression if you're showing up late to a meeting with an employer. So just consider that as you're planning out your schedule, how much time you have. If you want to build in breaks in between your one-on-one sessions, it also gives you some time to take notes, which makes following up with the organizations easier after the fair. Group sessions are 30 minutes, and those could have up to 50 other students in the session. So I know we got a question last night about which session type to sign up for, and it depends what you're looking for out of the meeting with the employer. So if you're just looking for an introduction to an organization, looking to learn a little bit more, then potentially a group session is the way to go. So the employers treat those group sessions as information sessions, since it's a large group conversation. If you know that you're interested in an employer, you're looking for that one-on-one connection, for that networking connection, then an individual one-on-one session is going to be the way to go for that employer. So from the Your Schedule page, this is where you're actually going to launch your sessions. So I know there was some confusion in the fall, but everything with this virtual fair takes place within the Handshake platform. So you won't be receiving any Zoom links. You'll be launching your sessions directly from the Handshake platform. In addition, it's our recommendation that you are setting calendar reminders for yourself. So the system is not going to email you with a calendar invite, for example, for your one-on-one sessions. So our recommendation is to set up calendar reminders for each of your sessions with a reminder in advance so that you're joining those sessions with the employers on time. Right now, you can see this join video button is grayed out. Once we get to 5 minutes before the session, so in just one more minute, that's going to turn that blue-purple color, and you'll be able to select join video to actually launch the session. It can be beneficial to join those sessions early, just so that you can test things out, especially if it's the first session of the day. We'll go through some tech tips in a minute, but allowing your browser access to your microphone and your camera, you want to make sure that that's all done in advance so that it's smooth sailing once you go to join. So now we can see that this button changed colors because we're within that 5-minute window. I'm not going to edit my camera and microphone settings because that's going to take me out of Zoom, but this is what the next screen looks like. So you've selected join video. This is the next screen that you're going to see. So you can turn your microphone and camera on, make sure those are set. This black box will show you a preview. So just as Zoom does before you join a session, you can see a preview of what the employer will see. Handshake does have a wider camera angle than Zoom. So you do want to take that into account as you're planning your background, what's behind you, what else is in the room. So again, that's why it's a good idea to try and join 5 minutes early, just so that you can test that out. It doesn't mean that you will join the actual session with the employer 5 minutes early, but it gives you those couple minutes to take a look at what the employer is seeing before you actually join the session. When you're ready to go, you'll just hit this join now button. back to the schedule page. Let's say there was a change in my schedule for tonight and I can no longer attend this group session. It's best practice to cancel any sessions that you are not able to attend. Otherwise, you risk a no-show for the employers. And those employers have held that time specifically for you. They've likely prepared for the session. So best practice would be to cancel in advance. To do that, you'll just click on the session name and cancel reservation. That's going to take it off your schedule. I'm going to move back over to the slides unless there are any questions specifically for navigating in Handshake.
There are no questions in the chat. Does anybody have questions that they want to ask? That means Kelsey is doing an excellent job.
Or they all already have the answers.
Oh, do it now.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Can I can I go to events that doesn't have to do with my major?
Absolutely, we want you to. So just because your major has nothing to do with the fair name or the event name doesn't mean that you're excluded. It's likely that there are still going to be opportunities for you. So especially for the career fairs next week, those are organized by industry grouping. So they really have nothing to do with your major because organizations typically hire from a broad range of majors. So we do recommend taking a look at the list of employers for each day. You can attend all three if you wanted to.
Other questions? We want to make sure everybody feels very comfortable going into next week. It should be similar to the fall, but there have been some nice tweaks that have been made out of lessons learned from last fall. So if you're new to this and you have questions, this is a really, really good time to ask them.
I just have one. If for the groups I've seen like not majors, but years like freshmen, senior alumni. If I'm a freshman, am I allowed to go to one that doesn't say freshman, or is it not, or I'm not supposed to do that?
That's a great question. So you're absolutely allowed to go. It just means, so let's pull up an example of registration information. So when employers are adding the registration information, they're adding in the populations that they have open positions for. Just because they don't have an open position for a first year student doesn't mean you can't go in and talk to them. So if we navigate back to, we can take a look at day number 2 next week. So if I go to career fair details and show all of those employers, I'm guessing this is what you're talking about, where it says school years here. So this first organization is saying that they have open positions for seniors. However, recruiters often remember seeing people at multiple career fairs. So you're starting to build that relationship with the organization if you're talking to them as a first year student. They may have internships that will open up to you in future years. They will have full-time positions for you down the road. So starting that conversation now is never a bad idea. You just may hear that they don't have any openings for you right now, but they would be able to tell you how to prepare for those openings, such as internships that would be coming up.
And there are, because I did search internships for first years, there are employers who are seeking first years. Make sure if you're a first year that you attend one of the SOCI events. They manage a lot of the internships in the Dayton area, so that would be a great one for you to get connected to. And also know that employers, their mindset very often is the sooner we get to a student, the better, because they're competing for the student's attention with all these other companies. And so I see, especially on the military side of things, they really want to get to first years. NASA is another good example. We have a NASA event coming up, and I hardly have anybody registered. So if you're interested in NASA, it doesn't matter what your degree is, get registered for that, because a lot of those positions require background checks and clearances, and it's a lot of money and time to do that process. So they do like to get first years. So don't let that be a deterrent for you.
While we're in the list of employers, a couple other items to note, and feel free to ask additional questions if you have them. Let's say you have not seen open sessions for your employer of interest, which for the sake of this example, we'll do SOCI. You can follow the employer. This will notify you when they post their schedule. So most of our employers have posted schedules at this point, but we still have some each day that have not submitted their schedule yet, which means that there are no available sessions for you to sign up for because they haven't put any in yet. So you can follow the organization to be notified. If you're looking through this employer list, you like what you see from this information they've put in their registration, but you want to know more, you can click on their logo to be taken to their profile page. From this profile page, there are a couple different areas to take a look at. One is contact information. So we'll talk about following up after the fair shortly. But this is one way to find contact information for an organization, is to go to their profile in Handshake. You'll be able to see what jobs they've posted, what events they're attending, but you can also see reviews written by other students. And these are from students across all Handshake schools, so not just UD. So it's a much larger population that we're pulling from. You can also take a look at reviews of their interview process. So what types of questions did they ask in the interview? And you can hear about different students' experiences. We strongly encourage you to be doing research on any employer that you're meeting with prior to the fair. So one of the questions that we hear all the time from recruiters that they don't like getting is when students come up to them in person at the fair or at the virtual fair and ask what the organization does, because it means that you didn't spend any time researching the company and you don't even know if it's a good fit for you. So if you are going into that conversation having looked up the employer, recognizing that it's in line with your interests, this is how you could contribute to the organization, you're going to have a much more meaningful conversation with that employer. If you do not see available sessions for employers, it could be for a couple different reasons. So as you may have noticed, when we were in the career fair, under available sessions, it's not going to show you the full list of organizations. So this could be a different number of organizations than you would see from the career fair details page. That could be for a couple different reasons. One of them we already talked about, the employer hasn't posted their schedule, so there's nothing for you to sign up for yet. Another option is that all of their sessions are full, so there's nothing more to sign up for. In that case, you'll want to continue taking a look. Students can cancel sessions, so something could open up. The final reason that you may not see any available sessions is because you don't qualify based on the one-on-one criteria that they've set. So this is where checking your profile comes into play, making sure that's up to date, and taking a look at the registration information to see what they're seeking. It's only one-on-one sessions that they can set criteria for. So anyone can sign up for group sessions for any employer. So those will always be open if the employer has chosen to host a group session. It's just the one-on-one sessions that you might be running into qualifications for. Okay. I'm going to jump back into the slides. So we saw this already in Handshake from your schedule page. That's where you're going to be launching the videos. You'll be able to do that 5 minutes in advance. This is a screenshot from Chrome specifically. So this is what that access to your microphone and camera will look like if you have not already given your browser access. So you'll want to select allow, and then you'll be able to turn your video and microphone on and get that preview.
Kelsey, if they were previously in a Zoom session, like for class, do they need to log out of Zoom in order for Handshake to have access to the camera?
No, you do not need to log out of Zoom. You just cannot be in a call in both platforms at the same time.
Okay.
So you can't be in a Zoom call and in a Handshake virtual fair session at the same time, because only one of those can use your camera and microphone at once.
I think that was a common problem in the fall, that people were having trouble with Handshake accessing their camera. So that would be something for everyone to check, make sure you're no longer in a session on your Zoom.
You'll also, and this is mentioned on a future slide, but if you have Windows 10, access to your camera and microphone, that's a Windows 10 setting that is independent of whatever internet browser you're using. So you'll want to check there as well. If you wanted to check video audio settings, there are a couple different ways to pull up that settings menu. One is by selecting the word settings. The other is to select the 3-dot menu icon. That's going to bring up 3 options: audio settings, video settings, and report a problem. Reporting a problem goes directly to Handshake support. So if you do have technical issues the day of the fair that seem to be within the Handshake system, feel free to report that there, or to our staff as well. All right, you've given access to your camera and microphone. You've selected the Join Now button. This is an example of what you'll actually see. So pretty familiar view to something like Zoom. So you'll be able to see both yourself and the employer. This is an example of a one-on-one session. You do have chat option on the side. So if, for example, you wanted to ask for the recruiter's email address to send a follow-up email, they could put that in the chat for you. You could copy and paste that to pull it out. The settings menu that we talked about is in the bottom left.
One quick note, Kelsey, on the requesting the email to follow up with the employer. Please don't be bashful about doing that. Very often we'll get students email an advisor after the career fair and ask for the contact information. We don't know who you talk to. So it is acceptable for you to request that information during that session.
The worst that happens is they say, no, thank you. I'm not sharing my email address with students at this time. And there's nothing wrong with that. So it's always worth asking for that contact information if you'd like to follow up. So with group sessions, there is something to note for these if there are lots of participants. So as we mentioned, those group sessions could have up to 50 students. If there are more than 15 participants, excuse me, your video and audio will automatically be disabled. So Handshake will note that. And you can select the hand icon to raise your hand if you have a question. When the employer calls on you, you'll be able to use your audio and video to ask that question. Getting into technical details, the recommended browsers for Handshake virtual fairs are Chrome and Firefox. We have seen issues with Internet Explorer, with Edge, with Safari. So we do recommend using one of these browsers. If you don't have these browsers now, make sure that those are installed before the fair. With Windows 10, as mentioned, those settings are independent of whatever browser you're using. So you might have to give microphone and camera access in both your internet browser and through Windows 10. Regardless of how fast your internet speed is, there's always potential for those audio delays during virtual conversations. So plan to allow for 1 or 2 seconds before replying to the employer, just to ensure that they've wrapped up whatever they're saying. We can share these resources in the chat as well, but Twilio is the video provider that Handshake uses. So you don't really need to know that name. I'm just saying that so that you recognize why we're recommending this, but you can do a video test. So you're doing that through the video provider, and the link is here. So you can do that in advance just to test and make sure everything is set up before Monday's fair. There's also an article that Handshake wrote about the video and audio requirements and troubleshooting. So it's a good idea to scan through that just to see what you can set up ahead of time to make sure that you're ready to go. So in addition to drop-in hours that we have with our career peer mentors, which can help you prepare for the event, we're also going to have Zoom rooms available during the career fair so that you can meet with our career advisors. So this lovely photo is a photo of our career advisor team. They will be in the Zoom room from 1 to 5, Monday through Wednesday next week. So that gives you an hour before the fairs even start at 2 o'clock if you have any technical questions or any career fair prep questions. Okay, you've made it through the fair. You've attended all 3 days. You've had great conversations with employers. What to do next? Our recommendation is to send thank you emails within 24 hours of the fair. So if you're attending multiple days, we recommend setting time aside each evening so that you can send those thank you emails. The more conversations you have, the harder it is to keep everything straight. So you can be taking notes during the session or right after the session, and that's going to make this follow-up a lot easier. These recruiters are meeting with potentially hundreds of students throughout the recruiting season. So what you'll want to do within your follow-up is to personalize the message. Reference a topic, a comment, a story, something that came up in the conversation so that you can trigger their memory and help yourself stand out. In general, sending these thank you emails is going to help you stand out. Very few students actually do this. So this is a great way for you to continue the relationship with the organization and set yourself apart from other candidates. There are multiple ways to connect with organizations after the fair. The organizations can message you directly through Handshake. So you may already be getting some of those messages. Go ahead and respond to those messages if you haven't already and you're interested in the organization. You can review company profiles for contact information. So as we saw from the associate profile, there was both a phone number and an email address. So just in case you didn't get that recruiter contact information during your conversation, you can potentially reach back out to the general contact information for the organization and send your message that way. Most, if not all of these recruiters and organizations are also going to be on LinkedIn. So you can follow companies on LinkedIn so that you can see when they pop up in the news, when they post articles. You can connect with recruiters, especially alumni at those organizations, directly through LinkedIn. Flyer Connection is another platform to connect with alumni as well. So make sure to double check there. And then if you haven't already applied before the career fairs, make sure to take a look at Handshake, at employer websites, at other job posting sites, and apply for any positions that you're interested in, especially after you've had that conversation with a recruiter. You know a little bit more about what you're getting into with these positions. Now is the time to submit those applications. I mentioned the test fair. We can put this link in the chat as well, but you have access to this until 8 o'clock tonight. So I do encourage you to log into Handshake to schedule sessions. You're not going to mess anything up by using this test fair. So unlike the real career fairs next week, where you're signing up for a session with a real employer, this is just fake employer accounts that our staff created. So you're not messing anything up. You can schedule, you can cancel, you can launch your video to test that out. So we do encourage you to utilize this test site tonight. We'll take some time for questions here, but as you're putting questions into chat or turning on your microphone to ask questions, we do ask that you share feedback with us through this survey. I can tell you that we take a look at all of the responses. So we like to know what topics you're interested in hearing about, how we can improve our services. And we do take all of that into account. So please let us know what you're looking for.
You can also type your questions into the chat if you prefer not to speak out loud. The question, do we have to dress business casual?
So our recommendation is to dress business professional from head to toe. So oftentimes that means a suit, but work with what you have. This is your first impression with the employer. So we want you to feel comfortable in putting your best foot forward. We also want you to be prepared for the unknown. So it could be very tempting to wear pajama pants on the bottom and feel comfortable. But what happens if the fire alarm goes off and you have to jump up and run? Then the employer sees that you have pajama pants on the bottom and business professional on top. So you just best to be prepared and wear it from head to toe. There are some resources on our website if you have questions about what business professional, business casual means. There was also a career fair prep session yesterday that we can share the slides for as well.
Kelsey, they'd like you to put the QR code back up, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Somebody wants to know, once they have done the survey, are they allowed to leave?
Yes, if you don't have any questions, you're
Thank
allowed
you.
to leave.